a significance for the nation.
Sacrifice being a very good citizen. It comes with responsibilities as citizens. What do you do as a citizen to be a very committed member of our society? That's sacrifice. Loving your country, loving your neighbors, share what we have with each other, and be thankful to Almighty God. That's all.
President Bola Tinubu, after observing the Eid-el-Kabir prayers at Northern Barracks in Ikoyi, Lagos. As Muslims celebrate Eid-el-Kabir, Nigerians have been enjoined to always remember the country in their prayers, particularly at this trying time in the country. Governor Abeokuta stated this at the Lantoro Eid prayer ground, where Muslims in Abeokuta and its environs converged to observe this year's Eid prayer.
Muslims in Abeokuta and its environs gathered at the Lantoro Eid prayer ground to observe this year's Eid al-Kabir. Leading the prayers, Sheikh Sadala Aladibangbola prayed for peaceful coexistence among Nigerians as he enjoined political leaders to fulfill their campaign promises. Representing the governor of Ogun State, Prince Abeokuta at the Eid prayer was the senator representing Ogun Central, Shoaib Afolabi Salisu, who delivered a message tagged "Message of Hope," calling on all that this moment of hardship is temporary.
Whatever the situation we are going through is temporary. Ibrahim was given Tyrone over his fire. Our country was also prepared. This circumstance will not be forever. This is a temporary situation, and we are fortunate that if we turn this current situation into a place of tranquility, so we must make it to Allah. Number two, we must continue to pray that Allah has substituted a God for his son. Allah will also substitute something better for our country if we are this very time. Number three, and finally, continue to remember our government, all at the state level and the federal level.
The moment was also used to inform the general public of the recent outbreak of cholera, asking all residents of the state to be conscious of the disease and observe all precautionary measures against it.
As the current administration in Nigeria is working around the clock to address the myriad of challenges facing the country, the fervent prayers of every citizen is essential. Therefore, the Eid al-Kabir must be used to offer prayers to God. Ogun State Deputy Governor, Engineer Newswatch Oyedele, said this while delivering the message of the Ogun State government after joining over Islamic faithful to observe the Eid al-Kabir prayers at Ota Central Mosque prayer ground. Matthew Showme reports that Olota of Ota, Oba Abdukabir Obalanlege, also joined in observing the prayers. His report.
Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Engineer Newswatch Oyedele, observing the Eid al-Kabir prayers at Ota Central Mosque prayer ground alongside the Olota of Ota, Oba Abdukabir Obalanlege, other faithful and Islamic clerics. Engineer Sarako Oyedele, delivering the message of the Ogun State government, encourages the people to be hopeful and believe in the possibility of a greater tomorrow, while using the opportunity of the period to pray for the state and the country.
That we should all imbibe the messages of the holy prophets and all the guidance of the holy books, so that our various communities will be peaceful and harmonious. He has also extended the regards of His Excellency President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to all of us, and to persuade us to continue to pray for Mr. President.
Other faithful who joined the Deputy Governor for the prayers were delighted by the celebration of another Eid al-Kabir.
In his own, he has translated in his own way as a way of having total trust, obedience, and reliance both between the leaders and the followers.
A good one for all Muslims, and it's a lesson for all. And whatever we have learned in the Quran is to celebrate moderation.
Our leaders need to be reliable. When we are reliable, our followers will rely on us and be faithful to us as well.
Alhaji Abdulwasiu Akimboyede, in his message, identified the drift away from the essence of the period, which are submission and reliance on God, as the roots of the major challenges facing the nation. Obala Nlege says the lesson of total submission to the will of Allah, reliance on Him, and sacrifice for others, which the period teaches, must reflect in their daily activities.
They should continue to believe in Allah, because today signify one thing, and that is loyalty, submission to the will of Allah. Because Ismail believed in his father, that's why he gave up to the will of Allah, and also to submit themselves to our leaders.
The symbolic slaughtering of ram was performed to wrap up the prayers. Matthew Showme, OGTV News.
Islamic adherents the world over have observed the Eid al-Kabir prayers in remembrance and appreciation of Allah's benevolence. The 2 rakat prayers with symbolic slaughtering of ram were observed at Gbagura, Bodolude and Ansarudin prayer grounds, all in Abeokuta. Details are in this package.
The Eid Kabir comes a day after Muslim faithful ascended Mount Arafat, a significant aspect of Hajj, which symbolizes total obedience to the commandment of Allah. At the Gbagura prayer ground, the chief imam of Gbagura land, Professor Kamaldeen Balogun, led the congregation in 2 rakat prayers. In the sermon, Professor Balogun re-emphasized the importance of the day, charging all to remain prayerful, love one another, and be steadfast in their worship of Allah.
That we are coming together, Muslim and Christians, means that is why God has created us. God will never change anything for us, except we ourselves are determined to change.
He praised Allah for the coincidence in this year's celebration, which falls on Sunday when Christians are also in church to worship God. From the Muslim Central Mosque in Bode Olude community, Muslims also converge for the 2 rakat prayers in celebration of the sacrifice and obedience to Allah's will, as demonstrated by Prophet Ibrahim. Delivering his sermon, Alhaji Abdulateef Shobowale stood for peace at all times, advising all to observe Salah in moderation and not incurring debt. There was symbolic slaughtering of ram in obedience, resilience, and steadfastness in order to continue to enjoy the blessings of Allah. Ansarudin Central Mosque at Adedotu in Abeokuta, North Local Government Area, was the convergence point for faithfuls who came out in their numbers and in colorful attire, equally observed 2 rakat prayers to mark this year's Eid Kabir. Then comes the sermon of the day as delivered Imam Sulaiman Ogunwolu, which centered on sacrifice, selflessness, peace and love for Nigerians to witness unparalleled socio-economic development. Expectedly, after slaughtering of ram at various Eid grounds, Islamic adherents will then return to their different homes to continue the celebration, while the wealthy ones are to share food to the less privileged, hoping to witness many more Eid Kabir in good health.
Still on Eid al-Kabir, a day after ascending Mount Arafat in Saudi Arabia, by Muslim faithful. Across other prayer grounds, Islamic adherents gathered for Thanksgiving prayers and also prepared themselves spiritually as Eid al-Kabir is celebrated. In Ogun State, at Abeokuta, the cross of messages by chief imams at Secretariat Muslim Community, Ahmadiyya Movement in Islam, Nigeria, and Agoko prayer grounds were that of sacrifices, love, and commitment to Allah's instructions.
As one of their statutory prayers, Muslim Ummah, a sectarian Muslim community, Bara Abeokuta, was not left out in observing the 2024 Eid Kabir, signaling the beginning of another season for Muslims. Emphasizing the need for true and selfless sacrifice for growth and development in Nigeria, the Chief Imam, Alhaji Tajuddin Ibrahim, enjoined Nigerians to follow injunctions of Allah in all daily dealings.
Try and emulate the good, the religion of how Prophet Ibrahim, how he feared his Allah. He feared his Allah. He never worshipped any other god. We too should emulate it.
At the Eid prayer, Carowis compound, Agoko, Abeokuta, Muslims were enjoined to reference Allah as the greatest, and he must be fair. Sheikh Salis Alawo Adeneko, who led the Eid prayers, further advice on righteousness and honest living. Thanksgiving was the core of the teaching at the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam, Nigeria, at Daton Abeokuta. The Imam Abdulwakilu Adejari, representing the Chief Imam Abdulwaliu Olayemi Aigoro, said it is important to be grateful for life in its fullest amidst the nation's economic challenges and continually pray for the nation.
Muslim faithful in the country have been asked to uphold their vows and be steadfast in the belief. The Chief Imam of Itori Central Mosque, Alhaji Abdujamiu Adeboyega, Chief Imam of Owu Muslim Community, Sheikh Kehinde Akorede, and their counterparts in Abadia Muslim Community, Alhaji Mushafau Alaro, gave this admonition at the various Eid prayer grounds while observing this year's celebration.
Muslim faithful in Owu Muslim Community, Itori Central Mosque, and Abadia Community came out in large numbers to observe this year's Eid al-Kabir prayer.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta 'alayhim. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
In their separate sermons, the Chief Imam of Itori Iwekuru Central Mosque, Alhaji Abdujamiu Adeboyega, charged faithful to continually show love to one another and remain steadfast in their worship of Allah. The Chief Imam of Owu Muslim Community, Sheikh Kehinde Akorede, enjoined faithful to always keep to their promises as his counterparts in Abadia Muslim Community, Imam Mushafiu Alaro, urged them to continually pray for the country. Among dignitaries at the various prayer ground were the former governor of Ogun State, Sebukule Amosun, the Olu of Itori, Akorede Akamo, among others.
From Owodiegba prayer ground, the Muslim Ummah joined their counterparts across Ogun State to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir, the last festival in the Islamic calendar. Similarly, Muslim faithful converged on Obafe and Wasimi prayer grounds to observe 2 Rakat prayers. Messages at the Eid grounds centered on love, sacrifice, and peace. Details are in this package.
It is the last month in the Islamic calendar, a time when Muslims observe one of the pillars of Islam by going on holy pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina. Most importantly, it is the celebration of Eid al-Kabir, in which Allah substituted Prophet Ibrahim's son with a ram as sacrifice to him. Dressed in their best attire, the Muslim Ummah at Geledu in Owode Obafemi Owode local government area trooped to the Eid ground to offer thanksgiving to Allah for witnessing another Eid. Addressing the congregants, Imam Abdul Wahid Husseini reminded them of the supreme sacrifice, which symbolizes love, urging them to always live in peace with one another. Before departing the Eid ground, the symbolic slaughtering of ram was carried out, which marks the beginning of the celebration. At Obafe, Imam Bashir Jimo led the 2 rakat prayers, signaling a celebration of love among all. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Rising from the prayers, it was time to admonish the Ummah on the essence of the day, and Imam Jimo used the opportunity to task them on nation building by joining hands with the government. It was the same story at Wasimi Eid prayer ground, where Chief Imam of Wasimi Central Mosque, Alhaji Sulaiman Olanrewaju, led the prayers. Imam Olanrewaju therefore urged Nigerians to pray for the nation leaders while tasking all Muslims to live in peace with all regardless of religion. It has, however, been stressed that the celebration should be in moderation.
Prophet Ibrahim's promise to Almighty Allah is an act of obedience to God which everyone should imbibe. This was the course of sermon delivered by Muslim clerics who led the 2024 Eid al-Kabir prayers in Shagamu, Ibefun and Idowa Central Mosque prayer grounds. Clerics enjoined grateful to learn from Prophet Ibrahim's obedience to Allah to reflect in their day-to-day activities.
Eid al-Kabir, also known as Eid al-Adha, is a Muslim festival that commemorates the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his only son, Ismail, to Allah. It is against this backdrop that Muslim faithful in Shagamu, Ibefun and Idowa, with joy and humility, proceeded to their various prayer grounds to celebrate year 2024 Ileya festival with prayers to Almighty Allah to witness more of the celebration on earth. Leading the Eid prayer held at Shagamu Central Mosque, Grand Chief Imam of Remoland, Khalifat Abdul Qadri